Good morning. Today we're going to talk about simple and compound interest. And before we get started, we're going to talk the vocabulary that goes along with this. So the first word we want to talk about is interest. And interest is the amount of money charged or earned for borrowing or saving money. All right, so interest, if you borrow money, then you're charged interest. You'll have to pay that back along with what you owe. If you're saving money, then you're earning interest. It's getting added to your balance. Okay, then we have principal. And principal is the initial amount borrowed or deposited. Okay, so the principal is the amount of money you start with. Like if you go to buy a car, you're going to borrow money. And then if you're going to go open a savings account or a investment account, you're going to deposit the money. All right. The next vocabulary word we're going to talk about is rate. Rate is the percentage. And we need to make sure to turn into a decimal. And our calculators can do that for us if we forgot how to do that. The next word is going to be time. And when we're working with our interest formula, our time needs to be in years. So if it's not in years, go ahead and make sure to convert that. And then the last word that we're going to talk about is our account balance. And that's the total amount paid or in account. So that's really important when we're reading the question. We need to see if we're trying to find the interest or the account balance. So the first one we're going to start with is simple interest. And example 1, to buy a car, Mitchell borrowed $17,000 for 3 years at an annual simple interest rate of 4%. If it takes him 3 full years to pay off the loan, how much interest will he pay? So he borrowed $17,000, 3 years, simple interest, 4%. And then it says how much interest. So your formula chart for interest, or your formula chart does have the formula for interest on it. And it is I equals PRT. All those letters are touching, so that means that they're going to be multiplying together. So let's remember that P means principal. That's the initial amount of money. So he borrowed $17,000. R is rate, which is 4%. But we need to make sure to turn that into a decimal, so we move it over twice, so 0.04. And T is time, which we said needs to be in years, and it does say 3 years. So once we've figured out what our letters represent, then we're going to go ahead and plug them into the formula. So I equals 17,000 times 0.04 times 3. And we're just going to grab our calculators. $17,000, parentheses 0.04, parentheses 3, click enter. So this is saying that not only does Mitchell need to pay back the $17,000, but he's also going to pay an additional $2,040 for borrowing that money. Okay, example number 2. Keith's parents deposited $2,500 into his savings account as a college fund when he was born. How much will Keith have in his account after 18 years at a yearly simple interest rate of 3.75%? So for this one, we're going to determine what each letter is. So P, R, T. So it says the initial deposit was $2,500. So that's my P. And my rate says 3.75%. Now, it does have a decimal in it, but it is still a percent. So we do still need to turn that into a decimal. So 0.0375. And then our time is going to be 18 years. So I equals PRT because it says simple interest. So our interest is going to be 2,500 times 0.0375 times 18. Going to type that in like that. 0.0375 times 18. Click enter. 1,687.50. Okay, so that's how much interest they earned in this account. But that's not what the question's asking for. The question is asking for how much will he have in the account. So he has the $2,500 in the account, and he earned $1,687.50. So we need to add those two together to get the total in the account. So 2,500 plus 1,687.25. So in the account, they earned, or they have, $4,187.50. For 18 years, I don't know if that's worth it. Okay, so those were examples of simple interest. Next, we're going to talk about compound interest, and this formula is a little different. Instead of I equals, this one says A equals. So this one's starting with that account balance. All right, so the account balance equals P times 1 plus R to the T power. So example number 1. Your loan for $28,600 at 7% is compounded annually. How much will you owe after 5 years? Okay. So it says compounded annually. That's what tells me to use A equals P times 1 plus R to the T power. So my P, my principal, my starting value is 28,600. My R, my rate is 7%. But just like with simple interest, I need to turn this into a decimal. So 0.07. And then my T is 5 years. So I'm going to plug this into my formula. 28600 times 1 plus 0.07 to the 5th power. And when I type this into the calculator, I want to type it in all at once, just like that. 28600 parentheses 1 plus 0.07. I'm going to go outside of the parentheses and remember to push this arrow up button. And that's how I'm going to get my 5 there as my exponent. All right. So let's fix a calculator so you can see it. When we click enter, that truly did not help you at all. My calculator now reads $40,113. Now, this is my A. This is my account balance. So the question says, how much will you owe? This is what I want. This is the total amount to be repaid. So I don't need to subtract anything or add anything. That is my answer. That is my $28,600 with my interest included on that one. So for example number 2, you invest $3,500 in a savings account at 6.5% compounded annually. How much interest will you have after 8 years? So because it says compounded annually, I'm going to do A equals P times, let me rewrite that. A equals P times 1 plus R to the T power. So my principal, my starting value is $3,500. My rate is 6.5%. I need to make sure to turn that into a decimal. Now, when I turn this into a decimal, it's 6.5%. That's still a decimal. So I move it 1, 2. So my rate is 0.065. We don't want to round that. We want to leave it like that. And then our time is 8 years. So A equals 3,500 times 1 plus 0.065 to the 8th power. Hopefully this looks a little better this time. 100 times 1 plus 0.065. Again, go outside of the parentheses and you're going to do the arrow up button to get the 8. We click enter and A equals $5,792.48. So remember that A is the account balance. That is not how much interest we earned. So to figure out our interest, we need to take that account balance, $5,792.48, and we need to subtract what we put in there at the very beginning. We need to subtract our principal. All right, so when we take our account balance and we subtract our principal, we're going to end up with our interest. So I'm going to do 5792.48 minus 3,500, and my interest is $2,292.48. So that is how much interest we earned in the savings account after 8 years. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thank you.